Hey guys, it's Rob here from Palandria blog, and I'm actually be casting a 2v2 Starcraft game. This is the first time I've ever done this, so hopefully this will go well. I'm just going to start the game there. It's 2v2 between me, I'm the Purple Plotos, and Kyle from the blog. His name is Sniper. We have Blue Terran, I'm just going to call him Co, and WP here, who's a Red Terran. These are also bronze players in 2v2, and myself and Kyle, we are bronze in 2v2 as well. Just this map that we're doing here, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's got to be one of my favorite 2v2 maps. Just one sort of larger inference between the two of us. Lots of expansions that really favors map control and getting good exploration out. You can see there I've put a pylon down. I generally like to block the entrance. I know not all Protoss players do that. Particularly when it's Zerg, I'll block the entrance and Kyle will scout. Today we were kind of having a bit of fun with this 2v2, and I decided to try to do a cannon rush. Fortunately that Terran player got down the supply depot before I could get through there, but I still decided to go through and maybe hide a probe and see what happens. Yeah, so obviously very important in all Starcraft games to keep on building drones, keep macroing, doing all that kind of stuff. I've tried to hide my probe there and see if they don't notice it, see if they don't check it. Obviously Blue, because he saw that when he was going to go and try to find me. Because I was trying to cannon rush here, I actually dropped a forge before a barracks. If you're new to the game or whatever, I totally wouldn't recommend that. Always build your barracks, or in this case, obviously a gateway first. I will, though, quite often build my forge after my gateway, which is different than most openings. Up, they found my probe there. Couldn't hide them. Sometimes I like to hide in bushes or something, or behind a little building, but there's no building there this time. Figured I'd do a little bit of scouting while I was here, try to see what they're doing. Very early for scouting, but we did see that they are dropping a barracks, which is pretty standard kind of play. Yeah, so I built the forge first. I'd like to build the forge first so I can get cannons out in defense, particularly against Zerg players for cannon rushes. For 6 pools, I find I can normally get a gateway and a zealot out as well as a cannon by the time they get their 6 pool, particularly on long rush maps like this one right here, and it totally helps with the defense against the 6 pool. So that's what I'm doing. Really should have brought my probe back down there to get minerals. That was a little sloppy play on my part. One thing that the Terran here did a good job here, Blue Terran Co as I call him, he kept my probe busy, did not let me macro it up and try to cannon rush somewhere, and pretty much chased it all the way back to my base. What he did do, though, is he did leave it once it got back to the base. I guess he assumed I was going to go in. I turned around and I actually sent it back, and I'm going to be putting a proxy pylon up in their base. So Kyle right now is macroing like crazy. He's actually even started his second hatchery, which is a good thing for Zerg players since they need the extra larvae. Everything comes out of one building, and he's got the spawning pool down already. Our Terran players are doing pretty opening again, pretty standard opening. They're getting down their second barracks and producing a tech lab on that and another barracks. So our blue is going 3 racks. One of the things that we'll notice right away, if I just click to view, right now we're in everyone. The red, they've done almost no scouting. The only scouting they really did was the scouting that was chasing my probe. If you go to Sniper, or Kyle and myself, you see we've pretty much scouted their whole base. We know exactly what they're doing. They don't know at all what we're doing, and that's going to be huge in the later game, because when you have to counter what they're doing, we will know. That's me just pinging there saying I've got a proxy pylon. It was actually a little bit ill-placed on my part. If I had moved it maybe right about here, closer to this big circle, I might have been able to actually warp units right into their base. See, everyone's seeing, especially right now. I'm getting my cybernetics core too, so I would have warp pretty soon. I'm putting an extra pylon there to make sure that I'm not going to be depowered. If we take a look at the APM here, we'll see that, oh man, Kyle and I are way out APMing them, which doesn't necessarily mean anything since we did do more exploration than they did and we were able to see more, but APM, it can be a good indicator of exactly what's happening in this game. We see they have a barracks, they're building another racks, getting out their research. Let's just take a check in here and see what everyone is spending right now. We see that economic wise, Kyle's in the first, I'm a little bit behind them, but not significant amount. Units lost, almost nothing so far. Units, I'm getting up probes like crazy. They're only building a few mules. He's building a bunch of SUVs because I believe he is about to do his second expansion. He's getting a tech lab out. Not too sure why I guess he's just pumping out a ton of SUVs, probably in lieu of a second expansion. It's pretty popular for Terran players to actually build the SUVs first, and that way when your next command center is done, they're right there. I'm getting out some more gateways, getting out warp gate technology. They're getting out some good upgrades, which is good. And Kyle has got a layer on the way, because Kyle is thinking he's going to want to be going Mutilisks to try to harass their lines. I've actually covered that. I'm about to get that covered. I've got a pylon there on that one. I find with Terran, and there's a cannon going down right now, you can definitely get cloaked banshees, and those can come out pretty early. And a cloaked banshee rush can be really annoying on your mineral lines. So I've got a couple units out here to help establish an offense. I'm actually chronoing up the cybernetics core warp gate. Don't be afraid to use your chronos, especially if you're a Protoss player. Chrono everything. Chrono units out, chrono probes out. Definitely chrono out. I've actually gone here for a bit of a mix of defense styles. Most Protoss will either block the entrance, or they'll like to throw a bit of a wall kind of around their nexus, especially if they're against the Zerg. I'm getting my second expansion out there. That's really important. I've actually like to do kind of a mix of the styles, and then often I will hide my tech buildings. So I might hide my tech buildings over here or something, or over here. That way if they sweep, they're not going to see what I'm going. We're seeing that actually they've got a pretty quick army out here right now. They're using Marauders, which are excellent against Protoss, as you all know from Husky's Bailings video. They've actually just swept now, so they've finally done some exploration to get a little bit of idea of what we see. Unfortunately, Kyle's just brought his Lings in there just as they were sweeping, so they see our Ling army, but he's going to bring those Lings out. Another thing that you've noticed that Kyle's done very well, Kyle being Sniper, is that we've got all the watchtowers covered. So we're going to see exactly when they're coming and what they're coming with. We've also even got a few Overlords out there, just so we know when they're coming and we know when to be prepared for it. We got a Roach Warrant out there for the Zerg player as well. And we've also, let's see, they're building siege tanks now, so which should, if you turtle properly, make this exceptionally hard to get. They've dropped their, I guess their 4th rack now. So one thing we're noticing very quickly about this game, if we look at the production, the units are not production. We see the Spire coming out for Kyle. Those are those Mutilisks I was talking about. Resources, army right now, army size. Kyle's kind of outmassing them. I'm a little bit behind. But what we're seeing here with the Terran, especially the Red Terran, is he's getting nothing beyond simple barracks units. So there's no tech units coming out at all. You can see here for me, I'm actually getting a robotics facility down. We've done our scouting. We know that they're building just simple gateway units. I'm going to get a Colossus out, and those Colossus will just tear through their Marines and their Marauders, especially with support from Stalkers and Zealots. I've also got a Sentry out here now. Sentries, I have to admit, I've used more and more over the last few weeks and months as I've been playing. I didn't use them as much before, but that force field can be so powerful, especially in defense. Just completely blocking an army off right here, or maybe forcing melee units to have to go through a smaller choke point. Don't underestimate the power of Sentries. I've only built one. I think I only built one all game. It's probably a mistake on my part. I should have built some more Sentries. So there you go. They've knocked down their bunker there, and they're getting ready to mass a unit, an attack to come out with here. Now we see Kyle's got these Mutilisks out. These Mutilisks are going to go, and they're going to come right around here, and they're going to try to harass the worker line there of the. I'm also getting out a robotics bay, which of course we're going to need to get our Colossi, but you'll be seeing that one of the upgrades that comes out of that robotics bay is thermal lances for the Colossus. You've got to get thermal lances for your Colossus. That extends the range. It makes them so much more powerful. If we're actually looking here at production, we'll see that I've got ground level 1, 2, as well as getting the thermal lance. There's the thermal lance right now. Get your ground level 1 out as well. It just upgrades your units, your stalkers, your marauders. Okay, right here we're seeing Kyle's moving in with his Mutilisks. He's going to take a few pot shots off at this one. He's got that one SUV down. There's a force right here that is wanting to attack with, but because Kyle's coming right there, they can't attack with that force. So that buys us a little more time to macro up our units. He's actually forced them to move all of their SUVs, and he's picked off 1 or 2. If we go to the units lost tab right now, we'll see they've lost, I think, pretty much 10 SUVs, which is a huge difference in a game like this, which initially seemed to be so close. There's another one. Look at that. There's 10 more SUVs. They finally brought in a force right there. Both of them had to bring their army back, and Kyle's